All right, pretty exciting. It's a tail slide, Middle Fork Mods LLC. This is the manufacturer of this most awesome tail tie down replacement. I keep saying tail skid, but they are very clear in their website that it's not a skid, it's a slide. I'm just going through the paperwork here. It looks pretty comprehensive. They have very nice instructions. This is one area they did not cut corners. Some manufacturers, well, they don't go into this much detail, but these guys included a very nice set of instructions, parts list, and all kinds of very nice detailed instructions. Without further ado, let's get right to it. I'm pretty excited to finally be doing this. I don't even know what started this, but really, one of the things about 182s, these things are nose heavy. And so I've always wanted to add some weight to the tail somehow, give myself a little bit better CG. There's no legal way to just bolt weight to the back. So I started looking around and I found this mod is mostly geared towards backcountry flying for guys who end up hitting the tail and dragging that tie down ring across the ground and bending up their aft bulkhead and all kinds of other stuff in the airplane. So also flight schools, people who are still learning to land, sometimes they hit the tail. There's an add-on here. You can see it's an extra skid that goes on top of the tail slide so that it doesn't grind down the aluminum. So we'll get more into that later. Let's get started on the airplane. First things first, I just need to gain access. So I removed the back stinger off the tail. Here's the factory tie down ring that we're gonna be replacing. That's gonna come out, and that row of rivets right there is gonna get drilled out. You can see the row of rivets that we're gonna have to remove and replace right there. First thing we wanna do is remove the tail tie down ring. It's shown right here in figure 3-1. It's a threaded eye bolt. It must be completely removed before we are able to continue. So let's do that. 1/2-inch socket, remove the nut off the tie down ring. So once you remove the tail tie down ring and all the accompanying hardware from the bulkhead, you want to go and inspect this whole area for any damage. Make sure that there's no repairs that need to be made before you start putting this new tie down replacement together. Aside from being a little dirty, I think it looks pretty good. Let's move on. Basically from here to here, we need to remove bunch of rivets, and it calls out exactly where you need to remove them in the installation diagram. So here's what it's going to look like once it's in place. Now I need to go and remove all the rivets, start mocking up the holes for this thing. I've gone and marked all the rivets that need to be removed along this line, this area right here, and coming up the sides right here. Instructions say it might vary airplane to airplane, so if you're doing this, make sure you check carefully before you start drilling holes in your airplane. So I was just using an automatic center punch, marking the center of all my rivet holes. Definitely helps, especially if you can't see the dimple on the rivet head. These all look like 1/8-inch rivets or -4s. I'm gonna start off by drilling with number 40 bit, and then I'll pull the heads off with the number 30, and then I should be able to punch the body of the rivet out. It's really important. You don't want to elongate the holes or open up the holes to a larger size. So you gotta be really careful doing this. All right, I am really struggling with this job and this creeper. I need a better option. There is no way I can finish this laying on my back like this. I need to be about a foot closer or sitting up. I think I found the perfect solution. It's an adjustable creeper. The back sits up, the bottom sits up. You can adjust both sides. I gotta get one of these. I'll be right back, but I don't think I can do this anymore until I have one of those creepers. Back to what I was doing, drilling out these rivets. All right, now that I've got all my rivets removed, I can start prepping for the dimpling of all these holes. In my typical fashion or fanatical fashion, I feel compelled to get in there and clean before I do anything else. Access was a little bit of a problem, so I removed the elevator push rod, which also helped me get in there for riveting. Let's clean this thing up. All right, well, not perfect. That sure is looking a lot better. Prepare all the rivet holes by dimpling skins prior to installing countersunk rivets. So this is tricky, and what I'm gonna use here is a pop rivet dimple die. So I can go in from the inside, insert my dimple die, and then use a pop rivet gun to set my dimples. Let's try it. All right, so the pop rivet dimple die trick did not work. I'm gonna go to the next level here and try to use a rivet set on a rivet gun with a custom made backing bar with a countersink in it. Let's see how that goes. The countersinking was a bit of a process, but it went all right. We're gonna go ahead and start setting the rivets now. All riveting workmanship is to be performed in accordance with AC 4313 1B. That's my helper, Jim. He's my rivet man. Now that we've got the structure all prepared underneath the tie-down replacement, it's time to fit it up and prepare it for attaching to the airframe. Just to recap, first thing we had to do, remove all the rivets underneath here, dimple the skins, flush rivet. So now the tail slide can sit up flush against the belly. All we need to do is match drill our holes around all the mounting points and prepare to attach. There is a note that says you might have to adjust the bend a little bit so that the cradle sits nice up against the fuselage. I did have to make some adjustments here, very minor, but came out pretty good. This part's pretty tricky. What I'm trying to do, mark the holes from the inside out. I'm using a small number 40 drill bit by hand, and I'm just going up inside and trying to turn the drill a couple times to put some marks on the inside of this surface. So that way I can take it off and I'll see where my hole location is. I can drill it with a small 40 drill, and then I can go and match drill it from the outside. On the aft side, I've just got a bolt, which is actually the final bolt that I'll use, but instead of putting the lock nut inside, I just put a non-locking nut in the back so I can easily remove it. Here's the mark I just made by hand with the small 40 drill bit. I'm gonna go drill that, and then I'm gonna put a cleco in that hole. Okay, that worked out perfectly. Now I just need to do 4 more right here, 4 more right here, and 4 more right here. And these will be a lot easier because I can just get in from the inside there. So same thing, I'm just gonna use a drill bit to go in by hand, find the hole, make little marks, and then drill it on the bench and then match drill it on the airplane, if I can find the holes. That's from pushing down on the drill bit while turning it. And then these 2 outer ones are the hardest because there's a bracket right here. So you have to go on the other side of the bracket and reach around backwards. All right, that should do it. Let's take a look. Perfect. Let's go drill them out. That worked out pretty well. All I need to do is final size these to the screws that are going to be installed. And that side's done. Now I just need to do the same thing right here. All right, all my holes have been match drilled. I'm really happy with the way this bend came out. That shape is nice. This side was a little trickier. I don't know. That right there kind of bothers me, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna do anything about it. It's kind of hard to flatten that out and rebend it. So I don't know, I may or may not, but either way, all the holes came out really nice. This was a little bit farther back than I was hoping, but that's just where it ended up because the bulkhead, this one was all right. Kind of the same thing, but not as close to the edge. These came out pretty nice also. I've got a couple drain holes here that are blocked, so I'll probably have to re-drill those. Other than that, I'm looking pretty good. It's time to final size all these holes for the screws. Number 19 drill. Beautiful. Well, that's pretty much it for prepping the tie-down replacement for mounting to the airframe. Before I actually final install it, it's gonna get painted and prepped and all that stuff, as well as any exposed metal on the airplane. Now, I do have an optional item here, the tie-down reinforcement assembly, which is a steel piece that'll mount onto the bottom here like this. And this does a couple things for me. I really like it because it's a little bit more weight in the back, which is good for the 182. And it's also a skid that'll prevent the aluminum from getting torn up if it hits asphalt or anything like that, maybe in a flight school application. But nonetheless, I think this is pretty cool. I'm gonna add it on. It's gonna mount right there. Once I put all this together, then we can paint it and put it on the airplane. Getting into the final steps of installing this thing, I went and painted it and added the placards for the tie down, which is required for the STC and also the ICAs, if you were wondering. Yeah, let's move on. Prior to installation, inspect the aircraft skin and tail tie down to ensure that the mating surfaces are painted. Check. If either surface has exposed metal, repair by conversion coating per blah, 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 blah. Yeah, we did all that. Check. All right, here's the fun part we've all been waiting for. Install the AN5 bolts and the steel washer and all the other AN960 washers and AN365 nuts. Cool, let's do that. Well, there it is. It's all mounted up and final installed. All the hardware secured. Everything looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy. There's a couple gotchas. Let me show you. So these two screws right here were actually pretty hard to get to because these brackets are formed in such a way that you got to go on the inside. So that was a little tricky, not too terrible, but these were easy. A gotcha right here. There was a couple rivets I had to remove that weren't really expected, but I had to put countersunk heads there. There's two drain holes underneath the new tie down that's covered up, so I'm gonna go and drill a hole right there and a hole right there. If there's any water that builds up in the tail, it'll still be able to drain out. I had to form this a little bit just so that it fit really well. It wasn't too far off, but I wanted it to sit down pretty nice, and I'm happy with that. And I'm really happy with the way that came out because I tried to bend this one, had a little crease, and we ended up working on that for a little while, but I don't think you could ask for any better. I decided not to put silicone or anything underneath. If I ever remove it to paint the airplane, I'll paint the airplane, then I'll mount it back up, and I don't have to deal with the silicone issue. The stencils were really nice. This side came out a little bit better. That was the first one, and it's all right. There was a little bit of bleed over, but I can live with that. I haven't put the tail cone or the stinger back on. I hope it fits all the way. If not, I might have to trim the fiberglass a little bit. That's one little gotcha that I'll have to worry about. I'll have to put back the elevator push rod, obviously, and get this thing all buttoned up. Inside the tail looks really good. I cleaned it out best I could and treated it with some ACF 50. I don't expect any corrosion issues in there. I'm pretty happy with the way that came out. Nice opportunity to clean the tail as well. Looking around inside, the way the fasteners came out, I had to put some washers on because there was a gap between the bracket and the surface, so the screws were shanking out. So I had to put some washers on the back, and they gave me plenty of washers for that. Overall, really nice kit, very well put together. Very happy with the way this turned out. Awesome product from Middle Fork Mods, very high quality build. You could tell, you know, from the minute you open the package that they really put time, effort, and thought into this. So, I mean, all the hardware, the paperwork, the documentation, the tie down replacement itself, everything really nicely done. Highly recommend. So it's a little bit more work than I expected, but in the end, I'm very happy. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Even better, put a comment in the bottom of this video and let other people see what you're thinking as well. So that's it for now. I'm gonna put the rest of this thing back together. Of course, all your necessary paperwork, like your 337 logbook entry, all that stuff that goes along with doing any kind of an STC, weight and balance. You can either update your equipment list and or weight and balance list, or in my case, I'm gonna weigh the airplane just because I can. Thanks again for watching, guys. Let me know what you think. Check out some of the other videos. Lots coming soon. See you next time.